Welcome back to From Start to Scale with Alex Newman, where founders, CEOs, sales leaders, investors, and the best of the best share their strategies and tactics, how they scaled their business and broke through the next level. Hear what worked and what didn't so you can avoid critical mistakes and scale your business. Now let's get into it.
Welcome to the show. Today's guest is Coco Meers, CEO and co-founder at Equilibria, a women's wellness company. Prior to this, she was a founder and CEO at PrettyQuick that was sold to Groupon, and she ran it for a couple years internally there. And she's also an angel investor and advisor through Rebel Collective. So excited to have you here. We have stories upon stories that we can get into. I know that even before we were going live, we were talking and finally we're like, wait a minute, we need to record. So let's get into this.
Is this a podcast or not?
Yeah, is this a podcast? Is this just us hanging out and having some coffee? So we can go in a bunch of different places. I know we have PrettyQuick and we also have Equilibria. Let's start with PrettyQuick. And why don't we go through a little bit of just a quick backstory about what the company was, like what you guys were doing, and then we can just dive into a little bit of like how you found product market fit and started to actually like sell the thing.
Awesome. Well, it's so amazing to be here, Alex. Thank you for all that you're doing to give back to other founders who are trying to solve super tough problems. You know, this is near and dear to my heart. One of my favorite sayings is, if you build it, they will not come. I don't think that, even the best technologists and, passionate founders are as focused on go-to-market as they absolutely must be if they, want to have a business. So thank you for all the work that you're doing. This is awesome.
So happy you're here.
So PrettyQuick. I feel like I'm talking about my first kid. Don't tell my real human kid that, but PrettyQuick really did come first in my life. And every time I tell the story, I look down at my nails and I'm like ashamed. So I want the record to show that, like, the problem is real, guys. If for those of you who are listening audio only, I'm showing Alex shamefully that my nails are a mess, with some nails manicured, some nails not. And this is a dip manicure that's been on there for about 8 weeks, which is to say that busy women find it difficult to prioritize self-care. That was true for myself when I was a young professional living and working in Europe and flying internationally. That was true when, now that's true now that I even have more items in my portfolio. And, it's just kind of the reality of living a multifaceted life. It can be hard to pause and prioritize yourself. However, when you do have these moments of self-care, there is still not a marketplace that aggregates the $70 billion salon and spa industry. Every other consumer industry that you can think of, hospitality, food, transportation, obviously has been disrupted already by one, if not two or three, or even kind of the next round. I think about Open Table and who could ever displace Open Table. And now we use Resi and we use Talk, and there are now phases of marketplace disruption in these big, large consumer services categories. And yet there are still not a leader in salon and spa. Why? The reason is because there are over 150 different calendaring systems which power the industry. It is a highly, highly fragmented industry when we think about the SaaS landscape that powers these businesses and namely, captures appointment reservations and manages the calendar. It's also just, the kind of the primary market itself. The salons and spas themselves are highly fragmented, all SMBs, very little, consolidation or sort of big franchises in the industry. So, the vision of PrettyQuick was to make it easier for women to book salon and spa appointments, to access, who was close, who was good, and who was available. But little did I know at the time, I was a non-technical founder, first-time entrepreneur, and I knew I was passionate about solving this consumer pain point, but I flung myself, headfirst into an extremely challenging technical problem space where supply and demand are constantly changing all of the time. And as I mentioned, due to the fragmentation, barely meet. And, marketplaces are just so difficult. So for the first one I chose, it was quite a doozy, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah. So and this is something that you and I talk about all the time around marketplaces, because I've done a couple myself. They're tough. They are beyond tough. I know that a lot of people go, oh, you just, you get your buyers, you get your hosts and you put them together and a piece of cake, except it's not that easy. Conceptually, it sounds easy, but it is one of the more challenging type business models to have. So you were obviously having it so that all these women could go onto the platform, be able to book the different services that they want and make it as seamless as possible. When you're first getting started, even while this thing is moving, and you're talking about there's all of this fragmented industry of all these different SMB owners, how did you figure out how to get all of these owners, essentially the supply, onto your system? If they all use different technology in and of itself, there is obviously a wide range of types of business owners, different ethnicities, different languages, different all of that type of thing, in different areas all around the world. How did you figure out how to get them on and have that great experience that you're talking about?
Man, there are about 67 answers to that question. So I'm going to boil it down to two. But I just want to double click on what you said about marketplaces. I mean, as an investor now, I have not invested in a marketplace. I guess I never say never, but they are so hard to get right. And you hear about so many of the successful ones because when you are able to scale them, they're beautiful businesses and network effect is real. But I mean, to get supply right, dense, quality, online, engaged, active, to get demand the exact same way. I mean, especially hyper local marketplaces where you've got to be like, there in we're not talking about cities, we're talking about blocks within cities. And then to connect them all in real time with a product that is uncompromisingly delightful is really fucking hard. So
Really hard.
Really hard. Yeah, I think all marketplace founders just need like a lot of, therapy and, whatever their vice of choice is. Very stiff martinis.
CBD,
Lots of CBD. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay. So you talk about, your question was really more about the supply side. And I want to answer that in two ways. You've done such a great job engaging founders, talking about go-to-market strategy and like selling. But before you start selling, you've got to make sure that you have a product that they need. So as I mentioned, the promise of PrettyQuick was to, make it easy for consumers to come and book appointments. But so naturally, our conclusion when building the first version of our product and the use of proceeds of the entirety of our first round of funding was building, as you might expect, a really great calendaring system. If you must know the calendar in order to slot demand into supply, why not build a better calendaring system? And of course, we did a lot of customer development, a lot of customer research, and our salons and spas said, yeah, of course, totally. I need, this is like this crappy system that my uncle built for me. Like, I don't want this anymore. Like, oh, yours could be free. Cool. Like a freemium, awesome cloud-based SaaS tool to run my business. I want it. Always nodding, always smiling. So I thought, great, easy peasy. I can like smell my IPO coming, right? It's like so easy. I just built a calendaring system. I've got all these customers. Like, it's gonna be great. They totally want this. They told me they want it. So I didn't have a technical co-founder. First mistake starting out. Well, I'd probably already made 100 mistakes, but this is the first one I really knew. When the agency that I had worked with built like a really great, calendaring system. It was like super sleek, super awesome, great on mobile, like it was great. And I went and I said, okay, here you go. Here's the product on a silver platter. It's for free. Like, here, use it. You said you wanted it. Use it. How many of them switched? How many of them successfully used what I offered them? Do you think, Alex, my friend?
I'm going to say one or two, maybe.
Yeah, basically zero, rounding down to zero.
Yeah.
Because the switching costs are so real. Like, people can have a business need for something, but are they really in their like real lives as humans who are running a business, who are answering the phone, who are hiring people, who are dealing with payroll, who have customers to serve with a smile on their face? they really going to take the time to adopt this like thing that you think is awesome, that you think that they need, but do they really need it? Like, I think so. Lesson number one is hair on fire problems only. Only morphine, no vitamins. I gave them a vitamin and they needed fucking morphine. So the morphine for them, the really, really deep pain wasn't my calendaring system could be better. It was, I have empty seats. I have fixed cost, my rent, my, payroll every single month. And so anytime that I have an open seat, that is a missed opportunity to maximize revenue. So what we learned, in phase 2 of our go-to-market attempt with PrettyQuick was to stop wasting our time with a nice to have and only build what most immediately addressed their problems and that they would pay for in the beginning. So we built a very sleek, software agnostic alert system that slotted into their everyday lives as business owners. When you, Alex, would come and request an appointment with PrettyQuick, what would really happen in real time is, the phone would ring via a Twilio API, a robocall, and they could accept or deny immediately. The SMS would ring because sometimes they're on the phone and they couldn't answer. A Raspberry Pi, cool hardware thing would light up, like an iPad would go off. I mean, we were surrounding them in stereo with the customer that we had just gotten for them. And at that point, they were like, yeah, I'm going to press that one button to take that customer for sure. Of course, powering this, we had really great algorithmic, predictive, availability so that we were doing our very, very best to make that response instant for you to the best of our ability and then confirm it after the fact. So it was really a mix of digital product and operations that made our first product excellent and garnered that early adoption. So one, have the right product and make sure that it's solving the like hair on fire existential problem for your customer. And then, two, you got to scale that. So even though we had this great solution, we were going around and I mean, it was literally feet on the street.
Door to door?
Yes. I mean, you counsel about sales, like sales is sales. Sales is sales.
Yeah.
You don't, a solicitor on the phone, at least when we were building that early network effect, like we had to have the marquee customers. I wanted the best of the best. We were a luxury brand. We really curated. So yeah, I had, we'd go to door to your local nail salon, your local blowout studio. I mean, I know it's funny. They're all still saved in my phone. The iPhone always just like, transfers over all of the numbers you've ever had. Yeah. So if anywhere you need to call, especially in Chicago, some in Dallas and DC, I have all of them on my phone from all of those early sales calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that, the sales cycle was obviously not working, right? I know you preach all the time about funnel and, running a disciplined sales process. And what we were doing door to door was clearly not going to scale. So, the breakthrough when it came to scaling the product that actually worked was serving them demand before they were actually served a contract and had agreed to be a merchant. We called that process backfill. It's probably par for the course now in terms of marketplace models. But to our knowledge, we were very, very early in doing this. We would just publish salons and spas. We'd publish their menu, we'd publish photos, and we would bring them customers. Do you know that my sales cycle went from 3 months to 3 days, and our conversion went from 30% to 70%? Because even if they were angry that I said, hello, I've just brought you a customer, I've paid for their appointment, they're coming in at this date, they were delighted once they learned that these were real customers who were coming in to really bring them businesses, to really fill their seats. So one, build the right product. Don't make it a vitamin, make it morphine. And two, like you got to figure out a way to reach, to have the numbers make sense. And if you can delight them early, you're going to get their attention faster.
Well, I think when I hear what you're saying, and this is something that I talk about quite a bit, is go door to door. Like do whatever you have to do to figure out how to get one and get two and get three to get four, like one at a time. Don't try to get 100. Don't try to scale it and put all this automation and all this stuff around it. Don't hire 100 people to go out and do it, and they're all going to do it a different way. Like, you go out, like, you are walking door to door with all these people, and you figure out hands-on what it is they're looking for. And so before, you're kind of selling this feature. Then you learn, hey, I don't sell features, I sell value. I sell the thing that you actually want. And then you can backfill the rest of the other features that go along with it. And then it becomes the whole platform versus a feature type of thing.
Totally. Yes, Alex.
So
100%.
you started to
Must have
figure
done
all
this
this
before,
out.
my friend.
Maybe once, sometimes twice. But when you think about it, you are starting to do this. You have your team, you figured out product, you're starting to change it a little bit. What does the team look like? Because you and I both know that from a sales perspective, when you're the founder, the passion comes out without really trying, right? The energy's there. You've been doing this, eat, sleep, breathe it for years. And now you're like, you know what? I can't do this all by myself. I'm not necessarily at the full on scale phase, but I got to get other people to sell a little bit so that I can go do other things, fundraise, product, delivery, customer support, like whatever it is outside of just sales. Walk us through a little bit about, like, how do you think about hiring? What were your first few hires, your first non kind of founder sales leaders, that type of thing?
Totally. Yeah. So on the demand side, I don't think you can, at least in my experience, early sales leaders were as senior as they get. And by that, I don't mean like fancy, expensive people who are used to working in really big corporations with giant bonuses. I mean, frankly, fellow founders, like, very creative, very determined, naturally, excel at BD, very relationship oriented. So, it's when you're still in the entrepreneurial environment, it's a little different when we exited and had and then figured it out. I mean, by the time we were acquired, we had product market fit. We figured out the strategy, not just here in Chicago, but in 6 cities nationwide. And we were really pouring gas on the fire. So we were much more scientific about team metrics that we were tracking through all stages of the funnel, how we were growing, how we were organizing, what operational support they needed, et cetera. But that first person who's not you, I mean, they're representing your brand. They're an extension of you, the founder. They are the manifestation of the value prop, right? So it's a super, super important hire. We actually brought on board an advisor who had been close to the business, deeply understood, how viral this product could be, how easy and seamless it was to fit into the existing salon and spa operations, had been through those phases of iteration where, we failed and we really messed up, and could speak very elegantly about how easy the solution was and how you were just gonna get customers. So, super important hire, and it didn't take much after that, right? A really great leader who gets you those first marquee accounts. Then you can start, scaling from there and kind of filling in the team with folks who don't necessarily have that panache, but you really needed it first.
So you're starting to get some traction, you're starting to, you're not involved in every single sale that's out there. And then what is it that all of a sudden you say, hey, let's pour some fuel on this? What are you and I are both big data people, big numbers people. We look at our metrics, we look at and say, hey, let the numbers help us understand the business health. What was it exactly that you were like, this is it, this is working, we truly do have product market fit, let's go?
Yeah. So on our supply side acquisition had gotten so smart that we could sort of put that on autopilot for a second, but the next thing that I needed to turn my attention to that we haven't thought about, and this is why marketplaces are so hard, is the demand side. So in a marketplace, it doesn't matter if you have ample demand, if you're imbalanced with supply. It doesn't matter if you have the very best businesses if you don't have the customers, and none of it matters if you don't have the product in between that's amazing. Like, name the app on your phone that you go to multiple times a month. Not that many of them. Maybe 6 or 7, like not more than
Yep.
that, right? So yay for us. We had figured out a great sales strategy. Not enough, right? Like
Yeah.
then we had to really, so it, we weren't ready to pour gas on the fire until we had figured out real time on demand marketing with a native app that required a download. Super hard. So there, we ended up figuring it out, but our number one channel actually became referral once we got the product to be amazing. But in the early days, it was super hard, to figure out how to find customers. I mean, we were like standing on the corner, like handing out, because again, it's like hyper local, right? 2010,
Right.
we're like, want a free manicure, want a free manicure. So, and we would do that. We would go to buildings and we would do manicure parties inside consulting firms and law firms. And anyway, you get the flywheel going locally, and we were able to figure out, how to get enough demand going that, but then we'd run into problems on the product side. We started out, we started the business in 2009. The iPhone was only 2 years old, 2010, really, 3 years old. So we didn't start out as an app. We started out as a website. Name the website you go to manage your consumer life more than once a month.
Right.
Maybe
Right.
not, right?
Right.
Now. So there were really 3 parallel work streams that had to collide, and only when we had a native app with the very best salons and spas in a city, with a delightful booking experience, with enough customers because of like guerrilla marketing, basically to ignite a market, could we then say, all right, this market's ready to go. And then it was out of home. It was, geolocated ads. It was, lighting up every single salon and spa you could ever think about. And then ultimately post Groupon acquisition, which was the strategy there, right? Like Groupon already had every single salon and spa that we were targeting nationwide. They had 50,000 salons and spas that we considered to be sort of worthy of this convenience forward, curated, brand experience. And then, 5 million health, beauty, and wellness customers, all contributing to $1 billion health, beauty, and wellness vertical for Groupon. However, with anemic frequency, negative growth, people not coming back. So you can sort of see the beauty in this marriage, which was like, we have this thing that customers really want. They really want convenience. They want seamless payment. They want a super easy way to book on an app. And then you've got this dinosaur over here who has all of the ingredients. So it was really post-acquisition where we were able to put our secret sauce of innovation together with a 90-person sales team and, much larger marketing budgets and a really great, product design and engineering effort to make it really, scale nationally. And it was super exciting. It was all acquisitions are, none of them are easy, but for a long time, it was a really beautiful chapter, I think, for all of us involved.
Yeah. So when you think of pre-acquisition, there was a time, like, how did you know that this was the right time for an acquisition, that this was going to be the right play? A lot of times it's, hey, let's go raise more money. Groupon, I know at the time, especially in Chicago, they're located there. They were buying up all kinds of companies. Like, how did you know when you're thinking it, you're getting some good traction, you're moving in the right direction, that you're like, you know what? Like, this is the play right here. Like, what were your unit economics? I know that you're huge into unit economics, but like, what was your sales team like? Like, was there something that was like you were running into? You're like, hey, you know what? We need some more help. We need more fuel. Instead of me fundraising individually, let's go have this behemoth just like throw money at us, and then we'll just dump a 90-person team into our lap.
100%. That was it. And the truth is, like, you gotta stare at those unit economics and answer very, very honestly as a founder, as a leader. What does this model need in order to be successful? Is this a venture backable model that has a high confidence chance of being, of returning a great multiple for everyone at the party? It was going to be a really, really long road. I had so much passion for the mission and what we were doing. I was so proud of my team and how innovative we were in a resource constrained environment to figure out a lot when almost all of our competitors had failed. We had really beautiful proof points again in 6 markets nationwide. Like, we were onto something. And yet, when I looked at our unit economics on the demand side, we were acquiring a customer for, pretty efficiently, let's say $40. Well, you go and you get a $40 manicure and we get to keep 20% of that. That's $8. So they got to come back 5 times before your unit economic, your GP positive on that customer. It's a lot. That's a lot. We better have the very best salons and spas, not just in Chicago, but in every city and state nationwide. We better have, not just an okay experience in an okay app, but like a ridiculously amazing experience every time that just feels like, total endorphin rush every time you book an appointment. So that was the writing on the wall for me, coupled with the fact that, and like, listen, I think if you've got enough emotional runway, you figure out the financial runway and you make it happen and you make your dreams come true for yourself and your team and your shareholders. So I did have that emotional runway, but it was pretty logical to me that the unit economics weren't working. We'd require a lot of kind of triage there to figure out other approaches financially to make it really work without just being beholden to more and more raising all the time. So it would have required a ton of money, a ton of capital, a ton of time, only to go and acquire the same salons and spas and the same customers that Groupon already had. And it wasn't like we were just being subsumed into this like anachronistic discount model that rhymes with coupon. I mean, the whole point was to reinvigorate a publicly traded billion-dollar P&L with convenience and frequency, which they desperately needed. So look, it's hard. It's super hard when you go public so early like Groupon did. It's super hard when the street has expectations for you. It's a very, very difficult place to innovate when you've been so focused on like relentless like ops efficiency and just slinging deals really well globally. So it was a very hard place to really innovate. However, again, we took a shot at it for a couple years and it was really fun and we almost got there, is what I'd say.
Did you go to Groupon or did Groupon come to you?
Oh, they came to us. I was out there raising money. I knew what I knew about the unit economics, but I was like, gonna fix them and make them work. And they came back again and again, actually. And I really, I have such affinity for the team that really pushed for our, deal because they needed us and they needed a different brand. They needed a different story. Again, it was $1 billion business that was declining. And we were a part of the growth engine. And that was really rewarding for my team. Awesome. It felt good for all of us. So it was a great experience. It came to us. At first, it was not a good brand fit. It was not a good product fit. It was not a good customer experience fit. I didn't see the vision. But when I saw how complementary the models could be with the same set of assets, I also really started to see, how we could help turn around this giant business. And it was exciting.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you build PrettyQuick, sell it to Groupon, you're at Groupon for a little while, and you leave, and you all of a sudden you create Equilibria, and you stay in the essentially women's industry, women's wellness space, women's power space. Like, you're still like, your target market really hasn't changed over 10, 12 years. Walk us through a little bit about Equilibria and kind of what exactly you guys do.
I mean, Alex, maybe I need to, try a different customer here, right? Like, come on, Coco, spice it up a little bit. It's really been like 20 years because my very first job ever was brand marketing at L'Oreal in New York and then in Paris. So I just, it's a real passion area for me. I don't, I'm so supportive of just women prioritizing themselves and I can't stop, can't get away from it. But with Equilibria, so first I took a minute and I began actively angel investing in and just applying all of the learnings, right? Like what an incredible learning experience. I'm so grateful, win, lose, succeed, fail, whatever. Like you learn so much, as from from hosting this awesome show, from all of your businesses. Like, it's so like lucky. I feel so lucky to like be an entrepreneur and like learn these hard-lived, hard-earned lessons like every day. So I wanted to stay close to early stage. I wanted to give back to other female founders. I wanted to write checks, and I wanted to apply the lessons that I had learned, i.e., don't build business models that aren't good. Look for
That's a good
GP.
learning.
Okay. Yeah, no matter how passionate you are, seriously, about like, what is it, the cascading waterfalls of disbelief for, like, don't set yourself up for everything having to go right, right? Like, I mean, just how about one thing goes right? One thing pays for itself, and then you scale that, and I had, again, I was PrettyQuick was a labor of love and a dedication to an ultimate mission. And we did a hell of a job and almost got there with the business model. But, I learned a lot about not just the market, but the model making sense from the beginning. So I began investing in either recurring revenue businesses or businesses that for whatever reason were able to demonstrate, gross profit, profitability, GP positive on the first transaction. I mean, again, all about sales and marketing discipline. Do you, founding team, obsess over your unit economics all of the time? Where are your customers coming from? How much are you paying for them? If they have to come back a couple times to generate gross profit for you, are they doing that? And if not, like, it's probably not going to work. Do not sit around hoping for your customers to come back. Ensure that they do, with lower budgets and experimentation, and then scale that winning formula. So that's what I did. I invested in women who were building, consumer products with really great go-to-market strategy behind them. And I remet my co-founder, Marcy Capron, who is a super talented technologist and full stack engineer and just kind of product leader. She actually had built the first version of this software agnostic version, solution for PrettyQuick. So we collaborated together in the past.
That's awesome.
We were having so much fun catching up, and I'm like, what are you working on? Hoping I could back her next company. She had just sold her consultancy to a larger one. And I mean, she got me. It was so powerful. What she said next was, I'm not doing great. I'm not doing okay. I'm not doing well. It's been a really hard couple of years. And she was so, one of the things that I really respect about her is just how real she is. And, how important that kind of real talk is, especially among women who, have a lot going on in their bodies and their lives and their minds, kind of caretaking and juggling and balancing all of this stuff, which is never, never easy. So she was just very real with me. I'm not okay. I got stuck in a kayaking accident in an eddy, and her spine was rendered basically immobile. It was very hard for her to walk for many months. And it was a high quality CBD that she was gifted for her birthday, which got her off of the pain meds that she was otherwise using to manage this injury. And after taking this high quality, full spectrum CBD daily for not weeks, but months, not only was she seeing physical symptom relief, but also so much more in terms of mental health, mood stability, just like, patience, optimism, like real stress relief, real 360 sort of relief. So this sounds like bullshit. One ingredient can do so many things for the body until you begin understanding how cannabinoids, and specifically CBD, interact with the endocannabinoid system, which is our body's master balancing system. The ECS is responsible for regulating and helping other systems get to homeostasis. And when our circadian rhythms are off, or when our fight or flight, response to anxiety is off, or, our body's ability to manage pain is off, everything else is off, right? So I fell hook, line, and sinker into this very exciting, progressive, plant-based field where, one, we could help women who are balancing a lot all at once, restore balance. And two, you have to take it daily in order for it to work. So we had a really beautiful built-in subscription model. And three, we were not just another products company. Always from the beginning, we have invested in real education as we've expanded into other wellness ingredients. What was our dosage specialist team? We started out always with a service, providing essentially like telehealth, but for functional medicine. All of those folks are now certified wellness coaches so that we are, we can hold space for women, talk to her in a credible way with a certified team, highly educated team about what's going on really in that real talk spirit. And now, we don't just have CBD, we've got functional mushrooms, we've got nootropics. We are launching some really exciting nutrition and gut health products shortly. So we're really expanding quickly and meeting women with all sorts of real life problems that she has. And it's super, super, super gratifying, all in a model, that scales really nicely if you do indeed need to take it daily, which you genuinely do with supplements.
So this is interesting because you go from a software marketplace, essentially B2B plus marketing on the other end to generate, the guests or the buyers from PrettyQuick, to the complete opposite, or just something so vastly different from like physical product, something that obviously even goes into your body, not just something that you wear, but something that goes into your body. It's on a subscription. It is a form of education that people need to understand, because everybody understands on how to get their nails done, or that's a thing that is part of the wellness package. But like CBD is not a very well understood product. There's a million different kinds, from broad spectrum, full spectrum, all these different things. You can take it in a variety of different ways, from drops to gummies to creams to
Totally.
whatever it is, right? There's all these different things, and so many different products, plus a million different types of marketing, make it so it's like, what do I trust? What do I not trust? Is this healthy for me? Is this not healthy for me? How do you go from, hey, this is straightforward, I bring you the customer, you paint the nails, you give me some money, you get a bunch of money, here you go, right? I probably oversimplified that just a tad.
I wish it were that simple. Didn't we talk about how hard it was, Alex? It was that simple.
Yeah. So I have a tendency to do that. So now over here, you are helping in such a different way. Obviously today is so much different than, the early 2010s, that type of thing. It is mental health. It is stress. There's social media is at an all-time high. That didn't exist back then. Like,
no,
now you look at it, like, I think there's a lot of people who are out there who are doing one thing and have an idea for a business, which they don't really have a lot of familiarity as far as like the motion or that model. How did you get comfortable with that? What did you do to kind of get yourself into that place in order to be able to be as passionate and as energized and as excited as you are obviously about it?
Awesome. Yeah, great question. Couple things. One, you hit on like the importance of wellness, and like legit, like, the kind of whole point of functional wellness is like, epigenetic like theory says, like, take care of yourself so that it's all prophylactic. It's all, we're really a healthcare company here, right? Like, it's super important. If you have, nurture your nutrient status, get enough sleep, think about exercise and movement, manage your toxins, like avoid inflammation or manage inflammation. Like, these are real science-based, research-backed pillars that like meaningfully change your life and like improve your life and make it better, so that hopefully you're avoiding, not that we're anti-pharma at all, but like you're really taking control of your own like body and like mental health. And I thought booking manicures was important. it is, but like I can let that
This
go.
is even more.
What
Yeah.
I can't let go is like, yeah, like feeling good in your own mind and body. Like
Yep.
it's really like, I mean, I cannot tell you like the stories that we hear from members about like just like having a calm mind, being better parents, sleeping through the night for the first time in like decades, being intimate with their partner because they like felt like they, were calm and not stressed. Like it's just like actually life changing. So enough of the soapbox, but like I guess that's the first point. Like if it really matters, like you'll figure out the right way, like a way to do it. And I heard Marcy's story, and then I began taking it. I also have an autoimmune condition, so for me, I was able to take my like injectable biologic drug about a third as often. Again, so grateful that I have that drug, but like would love to be able to use plants to kind of control that if I possibly, or minimize my reliance on chemicals and synthetics as much as I could. So like, plus, I mean, I don't think of myself really as like an anxious person. The minute I was on the daily CBD routine, I also felt like just more even. My highs were still joyful, but they weren't quite as high, and my lows were not. I just was like more even, and I have a longer fuse with my kids, and like I felt it too. So I think all of those things have to be true if you're going to make any sort of pivot like this and like dive into something else. You have to really dive. One, two. This wasn't actually, in a way, this was sort of like the perfect marriage of my roots, which are in CPG brand management with physical product at L'Oreal, like straight up marketing product. And then PrettyQuick was all about a service, a digital service, and getting that right. And this is bringing both together because we were never, ever just a DTC CPG company. Equilibria knows that the market is flooded with those. What we seek to do is like educate and empower women to like take control of their own wellness journeys. And that's why, yes, we have a product because we believe deeply in functional medicine to help you. But like, really, we're there through, soon an AI generated app, but now always, people first, wellness coaches who are driving all that machine learning and who are helping women legit on the phone and through SMS and through text, like live better lives. So it was Equilibria's products plus services, which just feels like, a really great, again, balance. Finally, we early on, I mean, this is the wild, wild west, cannabinoids, CBD, all of the other cannabinoids, don't trust them. Still, you shouldn't. The cannabis industry is in real distress. So what we did early on was we became strategic partners by buying in to a vertically integrated hemp company in Colorado. So we actually did own the supply chain from the genetics all the way through to the farming, processing, finished goods, manufacturing, like the whole thing, soup to nuts. So, we sort of bought credibility that way by becoming deep, entrenched partners with people who were making this, this plant-based medicine.
Well, you got to know your product inside and out from when it first is created essentially or grown to actual delivery. And you can tell that the passion and just overall like product conviction is there. I mean, I take it. I know that I don't take it on a daily regimen, but I do take it when it's more of a like an ad hoc basis as I need it, and it's amazing. And it's one of those things that's just so misunderstood. And so when you're starting out this company, and you've done your research, you've figured out the model, you've done all these things, how do you start to get your first customers? Like there's a level of trust that the brand needs to create in order for someone to say, I'm going to buy from you and I'm going to take this thing and I'm going to put it into my body and I'm going to believe that all the stuff that you say on your website and in your marketing materials is true. And you've specifically said, I'm for women, I'm for women's health, I'm for women's mental health. You can talk the talk yourself. Obviously, your co-founder can talk the talk. But now we get into the business side of this. Like, how are we actually generating customers from this?
Yeah. So I knew, we talked a lot about, just how valuable all of your failures are, and everything that's hard will come back to you in spades because you're like you're like improving yourself in those moments, right? And like I knew from PrettyQuick how how difficult customer acquisition really, really is. I mean, people think it's going to be easy. It's never easy. It's always the hardest part. It is so hard. Customer acquisition. Yeah. So what was really mind blowing to me about these products is that if once I started giving them to my friends, because, we were owners in this hemp farm. So basically I'd say, guys, like, anybody want to try some CBD? And I'd explain what it was. And my friends would text me immediately. Give me more of those magic pills. Can I come by? I was like, literally, like the moms would drop their kids off at one school and pop by my house and like leave it outside. And this is all like, prototyping. And we were just testing the idea of whether or not people would subscribe. And like, it was so clear that this stuff works, just as you said. And, if you do take it daily, you'll find that those systemic benefits are even greater. So it was really like, that's the magic that I will now only ever pursue or invest in is like real, demand is just there. The product works, demand was there. Once you try it, like there was no question that, our lifetime value could be that of wine
Forever,
or,
yeah. Or yeah.
Advil.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, if we're doing our job right, like this is such a powerful substitute for so many other things in life. And that was just like so clear from early feedback. But like, how did I get that early feedback? Back to those PrettyQuick days of like going and throwing a manicure party, real women in a real room talking about real shit that was really going on with our bodies. Marcy and I went to dozens of homes here in the city, out in the suburbs, with very generous like advisors and mentors and friends and family hosting these gatherings for us. And we were really evangelizing and educating about what in the world CBD was. Will it get you high? How do you know you should trust it? Should you take 1,000 milligrams or should you take 10? As you said, should you use a vaginal suppository or a patch or under the tongue or whatever? Like there's so many more questions than answers. And through this, like real vulnerable, like shit isn't okay. Plus, here's a plant-based solution conversations, like real magic happened. And it was in those like early, we just talked to women and we got it into their hands. And then we launched a beta subscription product in late 2018 and really launched the website in early May of 2019, March. And then like, what is word of mouth marketing on steroids? Influencer marketing. Women talking to women, not in a room with 10 people, but like in their stories to tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands. Like that is actual magic. None of, all of our incredible, amazing influencer partners, tried our product, talked to our team, took it daily, had life-changing results. And only if they did would we allow them to like talk about that. If they don't, no big deal, no hard feelings at all. But like when you experience like kind of a life-changing, like really positive thing, like you really want to share it. So I think like that's the insight, is that when something really works, like there's no substitute for word of mouth marketing. It's just there's more modern and scalable ways to look at word of mouth in this beautiful world in which we live.
This is kind of the version of product-led growth, right? Take the product, let people talk about it, and say just how amazing it is. Because when it works and it does what you say it's going to do, people will talk.
We call it the brunch effect.
That's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah. And nurture that, and nurture that with referral, nurture that with affiliate codes. Yeah. And everybody's an influencer. I mean, we are so grateful to our incredible community of influencers and content creators. And who've been on this journey with us for 4 years. And also, health and wellness professionals, our very own members, brand partners. Like there's not one like-minded, woman out there who, if they try it and they love it, isn't also an evangelist. So
Yeah.
we feel like we've got just this like army of women around the nation, and it's so gratifying.
Yeah. That's awesome. So I want to take a little bit of a trip down back through memory lane, I guess. When you think about whether it's your current company or PrettyQuick, what is one or two things that you look back and you would do differently, or you would maybe at PrettyQuick you've said, "Hey, made this mistake," and you didn't make it at Equilibria. Like, what are some of the kind of the
Mhm.
gotchas that you're like to point out?
Oh boy, how much time do we have left, Alex? I know I've said this a couple times, but again, like, they're so hard in the moment, all the gotchas, and then they become a part of your toolkit, and they're a source of power. They're a source of strength. And so, um, I started a tech company without a technical co-founder. Shame on me. That was dumb. Don't do that again. Didn't do it again the second time. I started a business that I loved, and a lot about it was great, except for the underlying business model. Don't do that again. I just invested in an awesome next gen PrettyQuick, but it's for next gen facials and fillers and Botox. I've actually invested in two of them now. I'm just trying to help these founders avoid the pitfalls that we had. But the a 20% margin on a $600 filler service, different, right? Than that $40 manicure. So
Yeah, $20, $50.
yeah, different. So surround yourself with the right people, especially in terms of complementary co-founder skill sets. Don't waste time with a business model that isn't unit economic viable ever. I'm reading a book right now called Quit by Annie Duke, and she's so
Yeah,
great, and just takes this incredible data-driven behavioral science approach to everything, and kind of the science of when to walk away. I think is super 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 interesting. I would say that there were people who said with PrettyQuick that we should have given up sooner, and that just because it was so hard for so long, like literally built the wrong thing, and then we literally went door to door, and it took forever to get adoption, and then the business model still wasn't working. So it was like so many layers of like headwind, 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 just like again and again and again, and yet it was our persistence that totally paid off. Thank goodness we didn't quit. So I would just say like that's another like watch out is they don't take all the advice that you get from everybody. People are going to tell you a lot, like really filter that advice and make sure it's like the right advice for the right time. There are times to walk away and kind of leave it on the table. And then there's times when like, if you still have emotional and financial runway, like
sure.
you got to be really prepared for very dark days ahead, as you know so well, but like they're rewarding.
Yeah.
Okay, what else? That was a little more emotional.
Well, let's flip it. Let's flip it to all the positives. So when you think about both PrettyQuick and Equilibria, like what would you say are top one, top two things so far, maybe with Equilibria, that you've done to scale revenue?
Yeah, I think I've applied so many of the learnings from PrettyQuick to Equilibria. We have a beautiful ambassador network of these longtime influencers, new and old, that are genuine partners of the brand. When they share about their results with Equilibria, their members benefit by using their discount code and trying something that legitimately we think will change their life. And we hear that from our members that it is changing her life. They benefit through a revenue share with us. We benefit from, growth that's less risky. It's not just throwing random dollars over to Meta and hoping that you see those customers come back. So I think, really being maniacal about attribution in the marketing mix. It's much, much harder in this brand marketing world where it's certainly getting harder. Attribution's getting harder. iOS 15 did change digital marketing forever. So there's another really hard thing that I think we're all still reeling through and trying to figure out. And if you have any solves for, great attribution models post iOS 15, like let me know. But that'll be next time, Alex. Thank you. But yeah, subscription, recurring revenue, lifetime value, focusing on frequency, focusing on retention, making that your number one job, I think is a really important, lesson that I've applied it pretty quick and would encourage everybody to think deeply about from the beginning. Culture and team, how we've scaled. It's been super challenging in more recent years just because CBD has run into more industry headwinds as the FDA has not regulated. Reminder, CBD is federally legal, but not yet FDA regulated. So it's still very challenging out there. And there is, there's there's a lot of sector headwinds out there.
Yeah.
So managing the team and kind of keeping morale high through these really hard times together after we've had so much success and wins is hard. But coming back to mission all the time, putting culture first, thinking about all of the good that we're doing for our members is just like so rewarding.
That's awesome. I love it. This has been such a blast. I love our conversations. We always get so far, so deep, and we also get real. So thank you for coming on. This is super fun.
Thank you for having me, Alex. Thank you for, helping so many people figure out that it doesn't matter how great your product is if no one knows about it. And you do that in such a really, fun and super informative way. So thanks for doing the work you do.
Thank you. Do you have a favorite book, favorite resource that you recommend? It could be Quit by Annie Duke, but anything else you recommend?
The practice of groundedness is one more that I'm going to throw out there. Entrepreneurship is hard. If it wasn't hard, it wouldn't be entrepreneurship. And just like kind of living a little more with the art of low expectations. I think I'm harnessing my inner Buddhist a little more these days. Like high hopes, low expectations is sort of what this book talks about, and its applicability to business and, like sustainability and really empowering leaders to hang on and develop that Teflon around them. No matter what the world throws at you. Groundedness. It's a great one. The practice of groundedness.
I like that. I haven't read that one, so I want to pick it up. How does the audience get more of you? Website, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook page, MySpace.
MyEQ.com is where you'll find Equilibria. If you need any CBD or mushrooms or nootropics or any other, functional medicine supplements. So check us out there. Plus, you can find me on LinkedIn and Instagram. Coco Meers.
Perfect. And we will link all of the social handles. Last tips. Any more Coco wisdom? Anything else that you wanna share?
If you build it, they will not come.
They will.
Most of your time and energy should be focused hiring Alex Newman to help you with all of your go-to-market needs, because it's really freaking hard.
It is.
Customer acquisition and retention are the lifeblood of your business. No matter how breakthrough you think your company is, you'll I think that obsession is what differentiates the great from the good.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming on. We are going to have you on again. This was a lot of fun. I had a blast.
Me too, Alex. Thank you for having me.
All right. See you soon. Bye.
That's it for this week's episode of From Start to Scale. Be sure to click that subscribe button and follow us so you don't miss our next episode. I'm Alex Newman. See you next time.